Hey guys, it's Beth, and today I have a different kind of video for you. I want to share with you the 10 things that I've learned over the last 18 months or so from killing off paper pads. But first, I do want to say that I recently hit 3,000 subscribers, so thank you guys so much for all of your support. And if you can stay with me through this video, then at the end I will give you details on how to be eligible for that giveaway. So let's get into the meat of the video. So the first thing I've learned, not really learned, but reaffirmed, is that I love paper, I love to use the paper. I love to think about using the paper. I love to feel the paper, look at the paper, touch the paper. I love to buy the paper. I love to think about buying the paper. Are you seeing where this is heading? I love paper. I don't know why I've just become so obsessed with paper over the years, and that is why I've hoarded it. That's why I have drawers full of paper and pads, and why I truly need to use it up, and I am thoroughly enjoying using it up. I actually am loving using the paper more than hoarding the paper. Like that is something else that I've learned along with the love of the paper. I love using it and turning it into pretty things, and it does make me feel so much better than when it was just sitting in my drawers. And even though I knew it was there, I took comfort in it being there. I'm getting so much more fulfillment out of it by actually using it up. Along with that, number 2 is that I wish that I could do this 24/7. I feel like I think about it 24/7 as far as using up my pads, how I can use it, what can I do with it, what should I do next, what paper should I use next, all these different things. And it would truly be a dream job if that's what my job was to do. It's just full-time, kill off paper pads. So then if somebody wanted to pay me to kill off paper pads, I feel like that would be just like icing on the cake, like a total dream job. So that is something I've discovered, that if it were a job to kill off paper pads, that would be my dream job. Number 3, I don't love white space on my projects or in my life. And I know that's something that I really should work on, because you do need margin and balance in your life, and you need it in your craft projects as well. And I am working on it in my life, but And it's not that I like busy projects, I just don't love a ton of white space. Sometimes it just feels like such wasted space for me. Like it feels like that's room that I could put one more picture so that I don't have to do a whole nother page layout, or that's room for some more pretty paper or a pop of color, just something to balance out the project. And that's fine if that's what I'm looking at, that it's going to balance out the project. But what I've caught myself doing lately is just trying to fill the white space to fill the white space, and it doesn't really add anything to the project. And so then that makes me realize, like, okay, so then I truly just need to appreciate the white space for what it is. But I will always see if I can't fill that white space first. That's just apparently ingrained in my brain. I can't handle all of the white space. Number 4, I'm a very stubborn and determined crafter. I'm a stubborn and determined person, so that's nothing new. It's just funny that it's, found its way into my crafting as well. But that's also kind of good to have for what I'm doing. I'm, working through paper pads, and you do need a certain level of determination and perseverance to get through these pads, because you always hit that point where you're done. You're tired of the paper. You're just ready to throw in the towel and give up. But you need to, that's kind of where my determination kicks in, but also my stubbornness, because I'm like, no, I said I was going to kill this pad. I am going to kill this pad. I'm going to use it up. I can't put it back in my stash. I just, I may have to put it away for a day or two, but I'm not putting it back in my stash. I just set it aside and then I come back to it. So I feel like both my stubbornness and determination help with these projects, but sometimes my stubbornness is a detriment as well, because not only do I want to use the pad, but I want to use every last scrap or every last bit of the pad. And so I kind of get bogged down in that. I get a little overly obsessed with using up all the scraps. And my husband always tells me, he's like, you could have been done like 2 weeks ago had you not been so obsessed with using up that pile of scraps. And he's totally right. And I just, in the moment, I'm like, oh, I could make 4 more cards with those, or I could, I could do this with all those scraps, or I could do this with the pad cover. So I feel like I'm never really done until it's truly all used. So whether you look at that as a detriment or a plus, I don't know, but that's how my stubbornness and determination have both helped and hurt my pad kill project. Number 5, I've learned you can do anything with paper. just about anything. Not only is paper great for scrapbooking and card making, you know, there's all kinds of gifts. As most of you well know, you're paper crafters, otherwise you probably wouldn't be watching me. There's so many gifts that you can make with paper. And then home decor. I mean, I've been working with paper and home decor for the last several years with our Etsy shop, but lately I've kind of looked at it a little bit differently. There's so many cool patterns and backgrounds that are out there for signs now. And unfortunately, I don't have the skill set or the patience for painting. I can do basic painting, like obviously I can paint a wall, I can paint a solid color, but when it comes to like detailed painting patterns and things like that, I don't have it in me. I love the plaid, you know, all the buffalo plaid patterns, chevrons, you know, the wood grains. And there are so many there's so many videos out there where people can just, you know, whip out their paint and, you know, whip out these patterns, but I don't have the patience to do all the taping. I don't have the patience to do all the different layers, the colors, and plus I don't have the steady hand that you need for a lot of that, or the light touch. You know, it's like I just don't have those skills in me for some. I mean, they may be in me, I just may need more practice, but that's where the patience kicks in. I don't have the patience. But I have pattern paper. I have red and black buffalo plaid paper. I have black and white buffalo plaid paper. I have millions in colors of chevron paper. I have wood grains out the wazoo. So, you know, why paint it if I can just use Mod Podge and paper and create my own background? So that's what I've been doing. And that's kind of made me look at paper in a new light. You know, rather than paint that mason jar with that plaid pattern, I'm going to wrap it with paper and Mod Podge. Or rather than buy those faux birch logs that are totally overpriced at all the craft stores, I'm going to make my own with my birch pattern paper that I have. So it's kind of a different way to look at things. If you see something that you want to recreate and you don't feel like you have the skill or the products, look in your paper drawers. You might have it. And then also fabric. Like there's so much that people do with fabric that you can also do with paper. My mom was an amazing seamstress, could make anything out of fabric. My mother-in-law is the same way. That gene skipped me. I don't have it, but I have the paper gene. I have a sewing machine and have probably sewn more paper with it than I have ever sewn fabric with it. So I will happily recreate something in paper rather than in fabric. You know, you can Mod Podge it to help stiffen up the paper. You can laminate it to help stiffen up the paper. You can still use snaps and buttons and fasteners and Velcro. I don't know that I've ever used or heard of somebody using zipper with paper, but still, you can still use a lot of those embellishments and fasteners on paper to make the project as well. So just some different ways to think about using your paper. I've realized that there's so much more you can do with it rather than just your normal paper craft projects. Number 6, I never get through a pad as fast as I think I'm going to. Even these little partial ones that I've done recently, I'm like, oh, I can get through those like in just a few days. But it's like everything else in my life, I never account for outside forces. So I always underestimate the time something is going to take me. So for my pad kills, I probably could, like if I were just sitting down and working on the pad kill and had nothing else to do, like, you know, nothing else to think about, nothing else going on, then maybe it would take me that amount of time. But I have kids, I have family, I have a life I love, and there's other things that, you know, I want to do and need to do, and I forget those elements. And so, you know, the projects may take me longer just because I don't get to sit down and work on it as often as I would like. Or I don't account for changing directions halfway through the project, you know, where I had planned on only doing these things with that paper. And then I'm like halfway through, I'm like, oh, you know what? I could really do this, this, and this. And so then I kind of have to stop and figure out how I can do those things with the paper, like what's the best process, or, you know, kind of figure out the process. And so that slows me down. So I don't know why I haven't learned yet to factor in this extra time for a pad kill, but I always think that I'm going to get through it in no time at all, and then 2 months later, I'm finally done. Number 7, I feel like I've used up a lot of paper in the last 18 months, a lot of paper, both pads and loose paper from my stash, and yet I have no extra space in my drawers. What's filling that space? I don't feel like I shop for paper very often, but apparently when I do shop, I'm making up for not shopping for a while. I know I do have a weakness for the Echo Park warehouse boxes, and I've gotten absorbed a lot of paper, through those recently. And then I have a big weakness for Hobby Lobby clearance paper for some reason, both the pads and then their loose paper packs that they have. I must make up for it, whenever I happen to pick up those. And I have justified buying those loose paper packs. I know sometimes you get like 10 of the same sheet, and I have justified buying those several times over because I have needed, 10 of the same sheet in order to do multiple of the same projects, for someone, like if I get an order. So at least I've justified buying all the Hobby Lobby clearance paper, but still I must subconsciously, buy more than I think, and it's filling all that space that I'm emptying out by using up all of that paper. I think when I started this journey, started these Kilopad projects, that I was just going to free up all the space in my drawer and consciously go out and buy more to fill that space, where I've been doing that kind of unconsciously along the way, I guess. So still don't have more free space, but I'm still enjoying the journey, and that's just more paper that I get to use because I love paper. Number 8, I've learned that when you aren't sure where to start on a project, when you have no idea where to start or how to dive in or how to, work on the project, sometimes you just have to pick a point and start. And for my pad kills, I get stuck in analysis paralysis. I get stuck in analysis paralysis for every project, not just my pad kills, but I'm a data-driven person. And so before I start a pad, I go out and I, collect ideas on Pinterest. I collect ideas just from, life, from things going on around me. I look at the paper and you study the paper, figure out how I want to use it. And then I kind of get stuck in that process. Like, okay, great. Now I have all these ideas. Where do I start? Like, how do I get into this? And so what I found is that I just need to pick a simple task with the paper where I'm working with the paper, but not having to think too hard. And then by working with the paper, like the creative juices start to flow, the momentum starts going, and I get the mojo. And before I know it, I'm, off and running. So a lot of times I will just like flip through the paper and put Post-it notes on the sheets that I know I want to use for a specific project. So I'm just kind of earmarking those. Or I will just physically tear the paper from the pad. Like that requires very little thought, but it's just tearing the paper from the pad. Or I will even, start cutting down some of the more solid pieces that I know I can use for card bats. And just the act of, being hands-on with the paper, but not applying a whole lot of thought, kind of like I said, gets those juices flowing. And then before I know it, I'm already into the first project, even though I never made that conscious transition. Like, the momentum started going and I was already into that first project, whatever it may be. So I found this can apply to anything in life as well. Starting a business, home improvement, DIY projects. Like, there's so many big projects that have so many tasks associated with them that can become overwhelming. And you just need to pick like the smallest, like a small task, something that you can complete, maybe in like 5 minutes, something that's easy enough that you can do. May not be the very first step, may not be the first thing on your list, but it's something that you're doing, working towards, that project. And then, like I said, you get into it and you're like, oh, I can do this, or the momentum starts going and, like I said, the creative juices start flowing, and before you know it, you're well into it and you're rocking and rolling. So, like I said, that's something that I've kind of learned with my pad kills that I can actually apply to the rest of my life. Number 9, my crafting style tends to be based on the season of life that I'm in. And I found there's a direct correlation between the busyness of my life and the unbusyness of my projects. So when I first really started paper crafting, I wasn't married, and, I had a life, but it wasn't overly busy at the time. So my projects were a lot busier. And actually, when I first started paper crafting and wasn't married, I was so focused on embellishments that kind of overwhelmed whatever project I was working on. Then I got married and, got a little bit more involved with things, and my projects were still detailed. They weren't like embellishment heavy, to the point where they obscured the pictures or whatever on the page. but I still had a lot of time to focus on like adding details and layers to all of my projects. And then I had kids, and life got a whole lot busier. Crafting time came less and less, and so my projects started getting more simple. So it's funny, like, you know, the busier my life is, the more simple my craft projects are. And I think that's because there's so many projects that I want or need to do. I'm, you know, always behind on my personal scrapbooking, or I always feel like I'm behind on making cards for things. And so I still want quality projects, but I'm not so focused on the details and the layers right now. I still want quality, but I also need to focus on quantity. So I can still get, you know, a pretty project or a very quality, nice looking project without all of the details right now. So that's kind of where I am. And hopefully someday my life will slow down a little bit more and I can, you know, get back to focusing on more of the details that are in my projects. But it's just a funny correlation that I discovered between my busyness in my life and the busyness or unbusyness of my crafting style. And number 10, I like making cards more than I ever thought. So when I started out paper crafting, I started out as a scrapbooker. So that is where my heart has always lied, is in scrapbooking. Still, my favorite things to do are my personal scrapbook pages, mini albums. Sometimes I don't necessarily know what pictures I want to scrapbook, but I know I want to use this particular paper because it just makes me happy right now. So I'll make a scrapbook page without any pictures and just have it on hand for one day when I have pictures to put on it. It's like a pre-made page. So I love scrapbooking still, but I, somewhere along the way, started making cards because why go to the store and pay $6 for a card when I have everything I need to make a card here, and I can get some crafting time, you know, by making it. So I kind of, you know, picked up card making for that reason, which I think is why, you know, a lot of times the scrapbookers have kind of progressed that way. But, you know, I went from cards into other paper crafts as well and kind of enjoyed those other crafts still more than the cards. But now that I've been doing these pad kills and I make tons of cards with every pad, like I'm to the point where I crave the card making. With every pad kill, I always start, you know, like with my bigger projects. And so those tend to be my scrapbook pages or my mini albums. And then I always end with a card making. And I have found myself just craving like that part. Like I just want to get to the cards, like, because for some reason that's become more fulfilling for me. And so I've really been looking forward to the card making and process more than I ever did. And now a lot of times, like, I want to just sit down and make cards. And I don't know if it's because they could be quicker projects or because they involve a lot of times using up my scraps, but it's like I sometimes just want to sit down and make a card, where it used to be I would just want to sit down and, you know, make a scrapbook or a page or something like that. So that's been an interesting transition for me as I've started my, you know, Kilopad project. So that's the 10 things. You guys made it, hopefully, through this video of my quirky insights into my life of crafting. But if you stuck with me so far, thank you. And now I can give you some details on the giveaway. So like I said, I hit 3,000 followers, so I am super excited, and I thank you guys so much for all the support, like in any way that you have supported me. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I wanted to celebrate with you guys by giving away a $30 e-gift card either to Amazon.com or Scrapbook.com. So because it's an e-gift card, this giveaway is open internationally. I'm excited that I can actually open it to the international subscribers that I have as well. And in order to qualify for this giveaway, you have to, 1, be a visible subscriber on my channel. So that means that I have to be able to see you on my subscriber list. So if you have subscribed to me privately, like, I don't understand how all that works, but I know that you can actually subscribe to someone like privately. They can't see that you're a subscriber. If you are a private subscriber and I can't see you on my list, then I can't verify that, you know, you have subscribed to my channel. So you need to be a visible subscriber. You need to be 18 or older. You need to have a valid email address. That is how I'm going to send the gift card to you, is via email. And the last way is that the last thing that you need to do is comment on this video and let me know what you've learned through paper crafting or what paper crafting has done for you. So like I said, it could be something that you've learned about yourself, your crafting, your life, through your paper crafting, or something that paper crafting has done for you, whether it's helped you deal with the loss, it's, given you some fulfillment, whatever that may be. Just let me know what you've learned or what paper crafting has done for you in the comments below, and that will let me know that you're interested in the giveaway. So I will list all of these details in the description box as well. And today is Saturday, June 15th, and so I will keep this open for 1 week. So I will close it on Saturday, June 22nd, and then we'll do a random drawing and we'll let you guys know who the winner is. But thank you for sticking with me through this video. I know it was a little different, but I have kind of compiled this list of things that I've learned over the last 18 months and thought it was interesting and just kind of wanted to share it with you and to see if you guys had learned anything about yourselves as well in your journey through paper crafting. But again, thank you so much for all that you've done for me and my channel. Thank you for helping me grow this channel. I never thought that I would have 3,000 subscribers when I started. I really just started this to hold myself accountable, and you guys have done that. You've helped me with that, and you guys have also given me so much love, support, feedback, ideas, inspiration, motivation. I thank you so much for all of that, and I also thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you have a crafty rest of your week.